Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and welcome to the 7th round of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship Season 4 held on platform-specific city circuits. As we see the start for each race, you can see that we're in the Sports Classics Race Cars class for this round, with the GT1 drivers in the Rapid GT Classic, GT2 drivers in the Retinue, and GT3 drivers in the Mamba. For all the information you need about this championship, check the link in the first line of the description. So round 7 was straight after the sort of mid-season break, and it was a long break, so everybody was having to get back into the swing of things. It was a 5-week break. I'd been in the US for 4 of those 5 weeks, so I was coming into this with not an awful lot of practice and not an awful lot of expectation as well. But as always, we'll check out what happened at the start of each race from GT1 and GT3 perspectives, because we got something a bit special for GT2 because it was quite an interesting race in the end, despite my own lack of experience with the track and the car. It was a very entertaining race. So we'll see the GT2 start in a short while. But from the GT1 perspective, we've obviously got Murphos and Oracle in first and second and third here, battling over second place, and we've got Deutsch Neymar in the lead at the moment. And we got Flaming Guns perspective. I'm not entirely sure what happens just ahead of him when we get round these few corners. If you keep an eye on his perspective, as Murphos is going for a move to the lead there to get into the lead of the race in GT1. If you keep an eye on Flaming Guns perspective at the moment, you'll see the pink car ahead just absolutely fly for seemingly no reason. So I don't know where he goes or what caused that, but as we see the GT3 start there of J. Luke, he starts on pole position and he goes on to win the race, so really good result from him. Battling with Horst Demo and Sherrod, who came in second and third, but ultimately J. Luke gets his first win of the season. And then in the GT1 sort of fight, you can see Oracle there is just being knocked off, so that puts both of those guys further down the pack. But interestingly, Murphos got into the lead straight away, but then unfortunately disconnects. So quite early into the race as well, you can see that everybody shows up that everybody's left, and he has disconnected from the race. So game is on for the rest of the GT1 field. For the first time this season, Murphos isn't going to be winning a GT1 race, even though he was in the lead at the time of disconnecting, which was a big shame. So Oracle is having to do it the hard way, but Oracle has finished second in most of the races to Murphos throughout the course of this season, and he's trying his best to, take advantage of this since Murphos has left. Maybe he can, finally get one of those wins. Obviously, he was involved in that crash on the first lap, so it's not easy for him at the moment. Cirrus is currently in the lead, as we see Murphos is just disconnected there from Oracle's perspective, and a little bit of a coming together here with K-Dog. K-Dog just sort of closes Oracle out there when there was, he should have left a space there, so there was no need to wait for that incident. Up into second place, and this is ultimately where he gets the lead, because Cirrus just makes a mistake on one of the barriers there, and Oracle takes the lead to win the race. So good job to him getting his first win of the season. And now we see the start of the GT2 race from 4 different perspectives. Obviously my perspective is in there as well, and then we'll just go straight into my race after this as well. But if you keep an eye on, you can keep scrolling back and watching this back multiple times, but basically Mike BWFC starts in last place in the top left, and by the end of the first lap he's in first place, so it was a really good first lap for him. Obviously, as you saw on the bottom there, Brady goes into the back of me at the very start, and then there's a huge pile up, as you saw from Amarogco's perspective, and that allows Mike to get up a lot of positions there. So it was a very action-packed first lap, and like I said, don't be afraid to keep scrolling back and watch the first lap of this race from multiple perspectives to make sure you got it all, because there was a lot of action, a lot of crashes, a lot of things going on, and that was kind of the same for the rest of the race as well. It kind of set the tone for the rest of the race, and I guess it was everybody just being a little bit rusty after the big break, all coming back into it, and so it wasn't the best start from my perspective. Obviously I wasn't starting I started pretty high up the pack, but then Brady went into the back of me, as you saw. We got involved in that coming together, and then we weren't able to, because of that, take advantage of any of the crashes that were happening ahead of us. I get ahead of Peter Oliver, who's a reserve for this round, but then Brady comes past me on this back straight. And Amarogko, as you can see in the top right, crashes out as well, so I just get around him. And then just ahead of us, even coming onto the second lap, we've got Finn, who's a reserve for this round as well, who must have gotten involved in an accident with JB Car Freak, because both of those are behind us. And that's how it stays for a while. You can see it all from Amarogko's perspective, and he unfortunately gets involved in another accident coming into the same corner that I had my accident with Brady on the first lap. So it was a bit of a messy start to the race. I take an early pit stop, so we're going straight into my perspective for the race now. I take an early pit stop at this point, and it's very much in my mind what happened with the pit stops last time in the last round, so I wanted to just get all my pit stops out of the way as early as possible. When Amarogko comes and takes his first pit stop, he's put in some really good laps and has come out ahead of me. I go for, see if I can think about having a move up the inside, but it's not on, and he obviously keeps that position there. And then we both kind of stick with each other for a while until we catch up to Brady and Dr. Peppers. So Dr. Peppers had AD reserving for him in the last round, and this is actually Dr. Pepper's final race in the MCEC. He drops out of the championship after this round, but we've got sort of a four-way train of cars all battling at this point over third place. So we've got Mike in the lead, Finn DNF, who I mentioned was reserving for this round. He's actually in second place, and he ends up overtaking Mike and goes on to win the race. So that means 6 different winners from 7 different rounds so far in the GT2 class, and another reserve winning the race. So yeah, we're all battling over third place. Everybody's taken one stop. Not sure exactly what happens to Dr. Peppers here, but he gets caught up in something, and that is his sort of unfortunate end to the MCEC, because I think he ends up leaving the race at that point. So we're up into essentially 5th place now. I take my second pit stop again very early, very early. I hadn't even taken, I've already taken 2 pit stops at this point in the race, but I hadn't even taken my first pit stop this time, last round. So yeah, just wanting to get my pit stops out of the way. I'm coming up to the back of Brady at this point, so we've sort of, I've taken my pit stops kind of out of sync, and then he's taken his, and we're now back engaged in a fight over 4th place. So Amarogko has managed to gap us a little bit. He's gotten further ahead of Brady, so he's in 3rd place now, sort of battling it out with Mike over 2nd place, and we are sort of just behind them. Brady in 4th place, me in 5th. I go for a move up here, but it's not really on. But I'm coming into the race more and more as it's going on. I'm getting quicker and quicker. Obviously, that's natural, as what would happen when you haven't really had all that much experience with the track beforehand. And I go, just go for an inside move here, and it works out really nicely. Actually, a really nice move. Probably one of the better overtaking moves I've done in the MCEC this season. And that puts me up into 4th place. So at this point, I would have accepted 4th place. 4th place was a good result for me in this race, given the lack of practice and the lack of preparation I had going into it. But then halfway through the race, I come up across a slow-moving Mike who must have had an incident at some point. So now we're engaged in a battle for 3rd place. The thing is though that Amarogko, who's currently in 2nd place, ends up getting a penalty after this race for making a pit stop too early. You're only allowed to make a pit stop 20 minutes or longer after your previous one, and he gets a penalty for doing it too early. So although we didn't know it at the time, we thought we were battling over 3rd place. We were actually battling over 2nd place. Finn DNF, he'd put in loads of practice, so like I said, he won the race, but he was gone. Nobody was going to be able to touch him during this race. We weren't able to really, get back on terms with Amarogko, who put in a good performance for 2nd, but with that penalty, we were close enough that we would have overhauled him for 2nd place. So we're actually battling over 2nd place now in this race, and it was probably one of the best battles I've ever had in the history of doing these MCEC seasons. We were changing positions all the time. We were, on laps where we weren't changing positions, we were just following each other. It was impossible to separate us. And like I said, the position changes that we were having were really good, some really good overtakes and changing positions more than what you would expect for being so close together in terms of sort of lap time. So this is where I come in to make my third and final pit stop. Obviously, as you can see from the timer, it is very, very early, much earlier than usual. And my idea with this was, okay, I'll try to get a pit stop done, try to put in some good lap times, and maybe I'll be able to come out ahead of Mike. But he puts in some good lap times himself, so by the time he makes his final pit stop, we are basically, the battle resumes again, and we're neck and neck as always. And again, some great overtakes. You've already seen some great overtakes from both sides during the course of the first part of our battle, and now the second part of our battle is just more of the same sort of stuff. Going for overtakes, getting the move done in various places. I go for the inside here, coming onto the start of the lap, and at this point I thought that was job done, because then I started to pull away a little bit from Mike at this point over the course of the next few laps, which was really encouraging. My pace was just getting better and better and better, but unfortunately I end up getting caught out a little bit and stuck behind this slow moving GT3 driver. That really hurts me in terms of the acceleration and momentum around that corner, and Mike is able to carry that speed around and get back up into what would eventually become second place. I tried to put up a bit of a fight, but it's not happening just at the moment. And again, just a great battle that we're having throughout the course of this race. This is probably one of the most key moments. Like I said, my pace was just getting better and better. I was feeling more and more comfortable with the car, and I go for an inside overtake here, just get a nice run out of the corner while there's a GT3 driver in front, there's GT1 drivers behind. It was a pretty dicey moment. Not sure what happened with the GT1 driver there either, but that got me up into second place. And then, or what would become second place, let's say, after Amarogko's penalty. And then we come on to the very final stages of the race here, and if you keep an eye on the map, you can see that Mike is still right behind me. Now my pace was good enough that I was sort of being able to comfortably keep him there, but he wasn't dropping back off me. I wasn't quicker than him. It was just pretty much static at that point. There were no more overtakes, but the gap was remaining pretty static. And at this point, this is where we see it sort of my position solidify, if you like, because if you keep an eye on the map, you'll see that as we go around a few corners here, Mike is still there on the map just behind me, and then as we go around the next few corners, he's not anymore, he's gone. And what happened is he actually made a mistake, hit one of the barriers before the pit lane there, so he lost a lot of time from that, and that solidified my position in what would become second place after Amarogko's penalty. So after sort of not really expecting much from this race and having sort of no real preparation for it as well, I just came into the race more and more as the race went on. I was feeling much better. I was enjoying my racing. I was enjoying the car, enjoying the track, and I was about to get a second place from it. But the thing is, the kind of the story of my season, this season, at least in the last few races, has been a case of not necessarily getting the results that maybe my driving deserved. In rounds 4 and round 6, that was mainly because of tiny mistakes that I'd made, and obviously that was down to me. But in this round, it wasn't. And it turned out that I was just not going to be allowed to get this second place, because just like Murphos at the very start of the race, I would disconnect from the race. Everybody leaves with basically 2 laps to go. There were 2 laps to go in the race. I was pretty much guaranteed what would have been second place, and I disconnected, and it hurt. And this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like to disconnect from a multi-class endurance championship race on the last few laps from second place, or from what would have been second place. So yeah, Mike ended up inheriting second place. Amarogko would drop down to third, Brady in fourth. I would get the position for fifth place because there were so many other disconnections or people leaving in GT2, but it was still a lot of points lost. And after a good performance, I was really kind of down about that, and especially after rounds 4 and round 6, where I felt like I hadn't got the results that I should have done. This was just another sort of nail in that coffin, if you like. So yeah, not the best moments for the MCEC, and that's what can happen, you know. Not a good round for Ron as well. We only scored 7 points with Murphos disconnecting. Drum Balls wasn't here, and I obviously got the points for 5th place, but also disconnected. So yeah, not the best. Anyway, let's move on to the Xbox race. So for the Xbox side, we don't have the perspectives of GT1, but King Blaze got back to winning ways with a good performance from Blue Eyed Malice to get his best result of the season in 2nd place, and Smooth JD was in 3rd place. For GT2, we had RJ Slow taking the victory here, with Edible Hornet in 2nd place and Major Copyright in 3rd place. Quite a hectic start again for GT2 for the Xbox side, as you saw from the PS4 side as well. When it comes to the GT3 battle, the Specky Legend gets a great start and leads for quite a while, but unfortunately, as we'll see from his perspective, it just loses it a little bit on one of the corners, and the GT3 class for the MCEC this season on Xbox is so close together, and you'll just see a train of cars all battling in GT3, and it's really good action. But ultimately, Matty H is the one who gets the control of that position, and that result gets another win to add to his tally. The Specky Legend ends up coming in 4th place, actually, with Faruja, who is new to the championship for the Xbox side, getting 2nd place, and Joe Leonard, who's also new for this round, getting 3rd place. So Matty H, with his win here for GT3 on Xbox, has put in a very good sort of claim to the title, but we still have 3 rounds to go, so things could all change. For GT2, like I said, the RJ Slow and Edible Hornet getting 1st and 2nd, with Trumpet Master not being here for this round, also put them into great contention with Trumpet Master for the title, and those would ultimately be fighting for the top 3 spots. But King Blaze in the GT1 championship, as I mentioned at the end of round 6, with Xbox Pro, who was his nearest challenger, dropping out of the championship at that point after round 6. King Blaze's win here really did again solidify him into that top spot in the championship. So this is the moment that I said earlier, Specky Legend from the lead of the race just gets it, and you know, the Mamba is so hard to drive as well, so it's to be expected that things like this would happen, and as you can see, there's just a massive train of GT3 drivers all over the place battling over these positions, and it was some really good racing all the way through the championship for GT3 on Xbox. But like I said, Matty H ultimately got the win there, and these are obviously the championship positions. As I was mentioning, Blaze already got a very good lead at this point in GT1, very similar to, you know, Murphos's dominance on the PS4 side in GT1. Edible Hornet, RJ Slow and Trumpet Master are the 3 to look for in the closing stages of the championship for GT2, and then Matty H, Smacks and the Specky Legend are the top 3 to be looking for in the championship for GT3. The Teams Championship for Xbox is something to really keep an eye on. We're going to look at that later on as the rounds go on, but that was really close all the way to the wire. So PC side now, and again we don't have any perspective from the GT1 field, but that was won by Doom Penguin, getting he's an ex-champion, he's an ex-MCEC GT1 champion, getting his first and only win of this season. Really good performance from him. Fab Iceman came home in 2nd place in what would be his final result, final appearance as an MCEC driver for this season, with Serenio in 3rd and Avivo in 4th. For the GT2 class, we had another first-time winner for this season with Grim Reaper, who, as we'll see from the perspectives here, gets a nice overtake done and dominates the race. Obviously just a car and track that really suited him, since he'd sort of had some decent results previously, but not sort of looking like he was going to get a win, and then in this race, just, you know, everything just clicks, and he gets a very good win with a very good performance. Beta 1 Hit has a very good start to the race in GT2, but unfortunately just doesn't quite hold on for the rest of the race. So in second place we have Mountain Jed, third place was Odan, and fourth place was Cloud McShort for the GT2 class on PC. In GT3 it was again a similar story to what we saw from the Xbox side, where it's a train of cars all very, very close together, as you're seeing on the screen now. Kuntash ends up finishing in second place. Benimi gets back to winning ways to win the race in his final outing as a GT3 driver, because this also wraps up the championship for Benimi in one of the earliest championships we've seen. Eskos was putting in a really good performance in GT3 but ends up disconnecting. So yeah, Benimi gets back to winning ways and then moves on to race in some GT2 races for the remainder of the season. So we'll see how he fares there, but it's been a dominating performance for Benimi in GT3 and he's already wrapped up the championship at this point. But yeah, Kuntash finishes in second place for a good result, matching his best result of the season, with Deviator in third place, and those two are basically sort of going for it to battle it out for the for second place in the GT3 Championship on PC. So as we saw, obviously if you didn't missed it, on the left hand side we saw Grim Reaper get into the lead of the race, passing Beta 1 hit, and then he doesn't look back from that point on. But yeah, Avivo's got a good sort of hold on the GT1 Championship for PC, but everyone is still chasing him down, specifically Zenvo, who's having some really good results at this point. And yeah, it's still very much wide open in GT2, but like I said, the GT3 Championship for PC is already done and dusted at this point. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know all your thoughts down below, whether, you know, about my race in particular and what a nightmare it was to disconnect right at the very end of the race there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We got 3 more rounds to go, and I'll see you next time.